Hello and welcome tonight. Federal government pledges to reposition and professionalize the armed forces through enhanced capacity building, efficient procurement, and better interagency collaboration. Health Minister Professor Mohamed Pate says empowering women and girls is critical to Nigeria's economic development, forming the foundation for a prosperous future society. Baptist Academy Old Students Association holds its 170th Founders Day Lecture. Guest lecturer and chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, advocates support for government in restoring standards in the educational sector. And on sports news tonight, Nigeria Super Eagles edge Lesotho 2-1 in Polokwane as 2026 World Cup ticket in Group C will go right down to the wire.
On business news tonight, Dangote Refinery denies importing high sulfur content petrol from the UK into Nigeria as it clarifies feedstock imports.
As part of efforts to sustain the fight against insecurity in the country, the federal government is pledging to reposition and professionalize the nation's armed forces through enhanced capacity building, efficient defense procurement, and improved interagency collaboration. Speaking in Abuja at the inaugural lecture for participants of the National Defense College Course 34, the Minister of Defense, Mr. Mohamed Badru, reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to support the various services and other security agencies in their quest to make Nigeria a safe country.
It's the inaugural lecture for participants of Course 34 of the National Defense College as security experts and other stakeholders converged on the college's main auditorium.
Directors.
The lecture commences with the commandant of the college reaffirming his commitment to the college's mission of academic excellence and leadership development.
The National Defense College is the apex tri-service institution for professional military education in Nigeria. Since establishment in 1992, the college has upheld its status as a citadel of professional military education. At strategic level for officers of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, the Nigerian Police Force, other paramilitaries and other security agencies, as well as civil servants from ministry, departments, and agencies of the federal government.
Advancing industrialization, supporting projects that generate jobs, promoting exports, enabling import substitution that contributes to sustainable national development is the crux of the guest lecturer's presentation.
Our continent stands at a defining moment. Endowed with vast natural wealth and a youthful population, and now unified under a single market of 1.5 billion people. Yet, despite the enormous opportunities and potential, the reality remains sobering.
The guest lecturer stressed that productive transformation remains the bridge between aspiration and achievement.
Industrialization is a journey of economic transition for any country. It means shifting from dependence on primary commodities such as agricultural produce and raw materials to the creation of value through manufacturing and innovation.
For the Ministry of Defense, addressing the complex problems of insecurity will require the optimization of the nation's industrial capacity through a clear recalibration of government's policies on industrialization.
Today, that Nigerian socio-economic development cannot be realized without the effective optimization of our industrial capacity. Addressing poverty, unemployment, inequality, and insecurity will become significantly easier once the country's industrial capacity is fully optimized.
The National Defense College Course 34 inaugural lecture with the theme optimizing capacity for industrialization and social-economic development in Africa is aimed at broadening the knowledge of participants.
Former Minister of External Affairs, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, is calling on the federal government to take seriously the allegations of genocide against Christians leveled by United States Senator Ted Cruz. Professor Akinyemi also says the issue may lead to various sanctions for Nigerian citizens and urges the Office of the National Advisor to engage with its counterparts in the United States to properly address the claims. Now, he was speaking on our political program, Politics Today.
Now the charge of genocide is being leveled against our country. It doesn't help issues. It doesn't help matters. Having said that, it is a signal to Nigerian authorities that perhaps they are not taking this matter as seriously as they should. This has effect on the image of Nigeria. And now we are seeing the impact again on us, on our image, when we are being accused, we are being charged with committing genocide against our own people. The Nigerian government must take this issue very seriously. Now that the Nigerian security advisor has been saddled with internal and domestic security affairs, maybe he also should take it up at that level with his colleague in the United States and explain matters and explain issues. Because before you know it, they will cancel passports, they will cancel visas, and it will, when you now want to run for Security Council positions, this matter will then arise, and genocide will now be attached to the name and the status of our country. It's a matter of deep concern.
In Kogi, Governor Usman Ododo has vowed to put an end to illegal mining and banditry to tackle all forms of insecurity in the state. Governor Ododo made this known when he visited Isanlu Esa in Yagba West local government, an area that has recorded high rate of kidnapping and killings. He assured the community that the state government will do everything possible to protect lives and property.
Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State is in Isanlu Esa in Yagba West local government area of the state following cases of kidnappings and killings in the last few months. Accompanied by his aides, the governor's convoy drives through dusty roads to the communities affected by insecurity. The insecurity promoted the deployment of a joint task force made up of officials of the military, the police, the Department of State Service, and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. Upon arrival, the governor receives a briefing of the security situation in the area.
We intend to make sure that the forests, the jungles, and the communities of Kogi State once again enjoy peace.
The traditional ruler, in his remarks, commended the efforts of the security agencies in the community as he appealed to the governor to prevail on the security agencies to sustain their presence in the area until all criminal elements are eliminated.
The military men demonstrated their professionalism. If not for their effort, nobody could be found here again. Meanwhile, sir, we learn they will be moving out very soon. If they are moving out very soon, the whole community are following them out because our life is not safe. So we beg for your indulgence to extend their stay.
Governor Ododo reaffirmed the support of President Bola Tinubu to ensure peace and security across the country, commending the National Security Advisor and the security chiefs for effectively implementing the president's policies towards a safer nation.
What we are facing today is an inherited crisis by Mr. President. We all know, we can all attest to it. But Mr. President is ever ready, leading from the front sincerely for us to mop out these criminals from our land and our country.
The governor also cautioned traditional rulers against indiscriminate allocation of land to unknown individuals, stressing that anyone with mining licenses must be properly profiled by the state government and security agencies to prevent security breaches.
The so-called acclaimed licensed miners, I want to sound it very clear that if you have your own licenses and you refuse to come for profiling with the security agencies and Kogi state government, we will treat you as criminals. We don't have mercy.
The governor also met with members of the Joint Task Force, where he commended them for confronting the bandits. He reaffirmed his administration's commitment to dealing with anyone found aiding or abetting criminal activities in the state.
The Minister of Women Affairs, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, is promising strong policy to protect the rights of young girls in the country. At an event to mark the International Day of the Girl Child in Abuja, she explains that protecting the rights of girls will help them achieve their full potential while contributing to the nation's development. On his part, Minister of Youth Development, Mr. Ayodele Olawande, is also promising to push for policies that will protect the Nigerian girl irrespective of class, religion, or social status. Our correspondent, Sarah Chimugu, reports.
The theme for the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child is "The Girl I Am, the Change I Lead." Girls on the front lines of crisis. That formed the basis for engagement at the walk organized by the Ministry of Women Affairs to mark the International Day. In this hall, women and young girls are joined by some men at the celebration, where the government acknowledges that while girls face increased risk during crisis, they also emerge as powerful agents of change and leaders, driving movements for gender justice, education, and climate action.
30 years on, the message remains powerful that the advancement of the girl child is not merely a gender issue, but a development imperative.
In Nigeria, the Ministry of Women Affairs is leading campaigns and policies to ensure that the rights of girls, children, and vulnerable persons are protected. However, statistics from the World Bank reveal that 45% of girls in Nigeria give birth before the age of 18, and 35% of girls marry before their 15th birthday, a trend contributing to high rates of child marriage. This is among several other challenges they face, which cuts across education, environment, health, and social welfare.
To our partners and our donors, we call on you to support girl-led initiatives and ensure that girls in crisis contexts receive adequate health care, education, mental health and well-being support that they deserve.
We can have a seat. Thank you.
At a separate event organized by the Ministry of Youth Development, the minister promises better policies for girls.
It's about implementation. It's about putting commitment. It's about putting competence. And it's about showing character, so that a lot of people will not say that if you put girls in position or put women in position, they will start doing this or that. The leadership is so more paramount to me, and that's why the one day to feel that you're a minister in this country is so much important, and start thinking differently. Whenever you are advocating for the climate actions, whenever you are promoting educations for other girl child, or using technology to involve communities' problems, you are already leading for change.
As the world celebrates, the thoughts of the whereabouts of the remaining Chibok girls still in captivity, Leah Sharibu, as well as others, comes to mind. The Minister of Women Affairs shares her expectations.
Regardless, because they're worthy of celebration, they're the future mothers, the future home, builders. So we must continue to celebrate them and address issues around concern for them.
The International Girls' Day provides a global moment to celebrate girls, amplify their voices, and advocate for their rights and empowerment, especially in challenging circumstances. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Baptist Academy Old Students Association holds its 170th Founders Day lecture. Guest lecturer and chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, advocates support for government in restoring standards in the educational sector. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Federal government pledges to reposition and professionalize the armed forces through enhanced capacity building, efficient procurement, and better interagency collaboration. Health Minister Professor Mohamed Pate says empowering women and girls is critical to Nigeria's economic development, forming the foundation for a prosperous future and society. Baptist Academy Old Students Association holds its 170th Founders Day lecture. Guest lecturer and chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, advocates support for government in restoring standards in the education sector. And 19 missing after huge blast at Tennessee explosive plant. Nigeria's Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohamed Pate, says empowering women and girls is indeed critical to Nigeria's economic development, stating that girls and women form the foundation for building a prosperous society into the future. He made the statement during the Presidential High-Level Advisory Council on the support of women and girls in Nigeria, held in Abuja. Professor Pate believes gender equality must be at the heart of national development as it drives human capital accumulation and community stability.
Girls, women, empowering women and girls is critical for many reasons. For us to achieve our demographic potential, to achieve improvements in health, to get the accumulation of human capital, which is core to our economic development, we must start with girls, women, our mothers, children, and the entirety of the population. When we invest, for example, in women's health, we improve family stability, we reduce poverty, we strengthen human capital, which begins to accumulate right from the womb of the child. And every healthy girl today will become a productive citizen then, a leader of our community, a nation builder tomorrow. The Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare will develop the health sector strategic blueprint with the goal to save lives, reduce physical and financial pain, produce health, and to do it for all Nigerians. The strategic blueprint was unveiled by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in December 2023. The focus on building an effective system of governance of the sector, which extends, of course, to the social sectors, building more effective for health, effective, efficient, and equitable health system, where women and children especially have access to full range of services that they need.
If we are to rebuild confidence in Nigeria's secondary education, we must begin by accepting that government alone cannot do it. This was a thrust of the presentation by Dr. John Momo, chairman of Channels Media Group, who was a guest speaker at the 170th Founders Day lecture with the theme Bridging the Gap, Restoring Trust Between Schools, Government and Society, organized by the Baptist Academy Old Students Association as part of activities to mark the milestone celebration of their alma mater. Our correspondent, Chris Lems, tells us more.
It's an atmosphere of nostalgia and camaraderie as generations of alumni of Baptist Academy convene for the 170th Anniversary Founders Day Lecture, marking a truly epochal milestone. The hall is abuzz with gleeful reconnection and the recollection of cherished school anthems now etched in their history. The public lecture serves not only to laud a monumental legacy, but also as a crucial platform to deliberate on the future of education, leadership, and national development.
As we mark 170 years of truth and excellence, may we renew our collective resolve to uphold the ideals upon which this great institution was founded: faith in God, integrity, hard work, and service to humanity.
In his welcome address, the president of the Old Student Association articulates the significance of this historic Founders' Day gathering.
Our lecture today could not have come at a more auspicious time than now. In a world where the moral and social fabrics of education faces new challenges, this theme for today enables us to reflect deeply on how institutions like Baptist Academy can continue to serve as bridges.
While the old student come with vast experience to savor the moment, the current student infused the day with a contemporary energy, offering spoken words and a soothing musical flavor.
Harding, Stone, Duval, William, David, Vaughn, on this field we clash, in unity we rise.
Chief Kessington Adebutu, the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Bauchi, in his message, charges the old student to contribute towards the school's greater, more prosperous future.
Fellow alumni, if we truly cherish the foundation that this school gave us, then we must rise now, not later, to preserve and strengthen it for the future generations.
The Founders' Day lecture, themed Bridging the Gap, Restoring Trust Between Schools, Government and Society, is delivered by Dr. John Momo, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Channels Media Group. He dissects some of the most pressing challenges that have battered the nation's education system.
So why does bridging the gap matter? Across Nigeria, we sense a growing trust deficit. Parents doubt schools, fearing that their children are not getting the quality of values they once enjoyed. Schools, on their part, distrust government, worrying about unreliable funding, inconsistent policies, and delayed salaries. And society questions graduates, concerned that many leave school without the skills or ethics to strengthen the nation. In many schools, one teacher handles multiple subjects, often outside their area of training. Poor remuneration, delayed salaries, and limited professional development have drained morale and driven many away from the classrooms. And that's why teachers who remain in our classrooms today have to be celebrated. And I want some of them who are here today to rise up for recognition.
He then moves to articulate a clear blueprint for the way forward.
If we are to build confidence in Nigeria's secondary education, we must begin by accepting that government alone cannot do it. This restoration of trust in our schools requires a partnership, a genuine social compact between government, educators, parents, alumni, and the private sector, all working together in concert to reclaim the purpose and prestige of learning.
For his contribution and impactful presentation, he is presented with a well-deserved accolade.
25. Congratulations.
With the lecture concluded, the old students now eagerly anticipate the rich calendar of events lined up, which includes significant project commissioning, the annual prize-giving day, and a Thanksgiving and reunion dinner. Chris Alems, Channels Television News.
In part 2 after the break, or still to come on News at 10. Now, Dangote Refinery denies bringing in high sulfur content petrol from the UK to Nigeria and clarifies feedstock imports. Please join us again. Welcome back. The Channels Media Group has been recognized as one of the top 50 brands in Nigeria by I Am Brand Nigeria. The listing was announced at the Brand Nigeria Leadership Forum 2025, an event held to commemorate Nigeria's 65th anniversary. The top brands and leaders were celebrated for their outstanding contributions to the nation. Dangote Group once again topped the chart, retaining the #1 position for the 9th consecutive year. The forum, themed From Challenges to Opportunities, projecting the true Niger spirit, was convened by Taiwo Uluboyede. He stated the event aims to inspire Nigerians to promote a positive narrative about the country.
We got to the point that we realized that Nigeria needs to be promoted. And there are certain things, there are many things you say about Nigeria. People can doubt you, but there's something we have that people can't doubt you. That's the Nigeria spirit. And the same thing is driving a whole lot of us that make us to believe we can achieve something in life. Now, that is peculiar to Nigeria. In many places, they don't have it. So we believe that this is a better narrative that describes us, that gives us a better identity more than so many things. Now, in nations of the world, they intentionally promote themselves. So we look at something that could actually intentionally promote us, that is also believable, that we can believe, that outsider can believe. So we look at the news about the particular brand, say Channels, for example, the news about you, not necessarily what you say. So we measure the sentiment of that news, positive, negative, or neutrality of it. So this is measure. We measure the category leadership. So in your category, for example, Channel again, in your media category, how are you ranked? Okay, we look at innovation of the brand. How innovative is this brand? We look at CSR. CSR is something that makes people to believe you more than your advertisement. So they see you as you're beyond just what you're selling. They see you as part of the community. So all these, there's 7 of them, all these are aggregated together to form the 50 top brand for the year.
In Bauchi State, Governor Bala Mohammed has declared that the northern region must move away from overdependence on the federal government and pursue a path of self-sustainability. Governor Mohammed made this statement during the closing ceremony of the Bauchi State Economic and Investment Summit, which concludes with billion-dollar investment deals and the signing of multiple agreements. Our correspondent Hajara Aliyu reports.
Over $1 billion in investment deals, 100 billion naira in local investment pipelines, and 47 memoranda of understanding are signed as the Bauchi Economic and Investment Summit 1.0 comes to a close, a major highlight of the closing ceremony.
Shall we now be seated?
Yes. The MOUs span sectors including agriculture, power, energy, solid minerals, aviation, ICT, education, sports, tourism, pharmaceuticals and fintech from countries such as China, Algeria, India, Kenya, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Tunisia, Serbia, Iran and Pakistan made commitments.
The other company is TerraBird SAC and Telnet Holdings. As he comes, he holds a Master of Science degree.
Another significant part of the two-day event is the presentation of the communique, outlining key achievements and takeaways from the summit.
In agriculture, you need essentially 5 things, and that is quality seeds, agronomic best practices, mechanization, fertilizer, and of course, access to finance. These are key issues. If you're addressing agriculture, you have to touch. A more fundamental issue, which is cross-cutting, is knowledge. Everything, moves and develops by knowledge. Knowledge is key. I want to emphasize this because a lot of what we do in this country, we do not give priority to the knowledge of how things are done.
Visibly pleased with the outcomes of what he describes as a resounding success, Governor Bala Mohammed takes to the podium where he reiterates his administration's commitment to build financial sustainability and human capital development.
Yes, we can keep forest reserves, but we have to really manage our forests so that there is a symbiosis between the farmers and the herders, between tradition and modernity. We have to really plan very well, urban and regional planning in such a manner that we create cattle routes, cattle reserve, grazing reserve, and farmlands, and bring technology.
Representing the governor of Kano State, the deputy governor commends the initiative and expresses Kano's readiness to collaborate with Bauchi State as he encourages other northern governors to emulate the feat.
Very recently, there was a Northern Economic Summit held in Abuja. It was successful to a certain limit. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to say that whatever we are going to do, let's plan and plan well. Let's prepare and prepare very well.
As the summit concludes, participants look forward to the implementation of agreements made, especially in investment commitments with local and international investors. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Nigeria's oil and gas sector has recorded a major milestone as President Bola Tinubu commissions the country's first indigenous onshore Otakipo oil export terminal located in Ikuro town and Doni local government area of River State. Represented by the Minister of State for Petroleum, Heineken Lukwebiri, the president described the project as a bold expression of the renewed hope agenda for local participation and economic transformation. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, has the story.
Developed by Atlantic Terminal Infrastructure Limited, a subsidiary of Green Energy Nigeria Limited, the Otakipo Oil Terminal represents Nigeria's first fully indigenous onshore terminal. Construction began in the second quarter of 2023 and was completed in the first quarter of 2025. The first phase of the project cost over $400 million, while total development is projected to exceed $1.3 billion. It has a storage capacity of 750,000 barrels, expandable to 3 million barrels, and can process 360,000 barrels of crude oil per day.
This project is very significant because one of the biggest challenges we have in the oil and gas industry has to do with evacuation. I believe that this terminal will not only serve green energy, but it will serve all the operators contiguous, to this particular, export terminal. It aligns properly, with our own objectives as a government to ramp up production, expand, crude oil, infrastructure.
For the company, it's a dream realized. The chairman and chief executive officer of Green Energy International Limited, the parent company to Atlantic Terminal Infrastructure Limited, says the facility underscores the resilience and capability of local investors to deliver world-class infrastructure.
Your guidance, your commitment to transparency ensure that this project is timely delivered. To the financial community, we extend our appreciation for your faith in indigenous operator. I remember when we started taking our stories and going from banks to banks, your backing has enabled us to demonstrate the confidence that Nigerian homegrown companies can deliver at global standards.
Only for international.
In his remarks, the chief executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Dr. Benga Komalafe, noted that the project will boost crude oil transactions and enhance operational transparency in line with regulatory standards.
It enhances Nigeria's crude evacuation system, with national production currently in the range of 1.7 to 1.8 million barrels per day.
The efficiency of evacuation and export is critical. By creating an alternative export hub in Rivers State, the Otakiko terminal reduces over-reliance on existing terminals.
For the host communities, as well as other stakeholders, the project brings renewed hope.
At large, a day when our land becomes the proud host of a monumental national asset.
At the heart of the Andoni nation. It's something we're very happy about, and it also underscores the fact that when peace returns a land, prosperity can truly happen to the people. And this just signals that opportunity for the entire John nation, but particular the Andoni people.
High points of the event is a tour of the terminal, which sits on several hectares of land by the president's representative and other dignitaries led by the chairman of the company. Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
On business news, Africa's largest crude refiner, Dangote Petroleum Refinery, has dismissed media reports alleging that it is importing finished petrol with high sulfur content into Nigeria, describing the claims as false and misleading. In a statement issued today, the crude refinery giant explained that all its imported feedstocks are accompanied by quality certificates, which are transparently shared with regulators. Some online media reports had alleged that Dangote Refinery was bringing in about 37,000 metric tons of petrol with a sulfur content of 690 parts per million from the United Kingdom aboard the vessel MT Clear Ocean Mary, which it said was scheduled to arrive at the refinery's offshore facility on October the 9th. Now, the stock market extended its winning streak to 11 consecutive days as the shares of Dangote Cement lifts the all-share index past the 146,900 points to fresh record high. Inijo Mekwa tells us more.
Everyone, welcome to the stock market report. Well, the market recovered from the intraday profit taken and closed in the positive. 497 billion naira was added to the market cap. And yes, we have crossed over to the 93 trillion naira level, 93.295 trillion naira at the close of trade. And here you see the all share also, it's really recovered. I mean, we were in the red about 0.03% at intraday, but at the close of trade, more than 0.5% is what we have, but we haven't gotten to the 147,000 level yet. And it's all thanks to mostly Dangote Cement. For the second time this week, is driving positive sentiment in the market. It gained 35 naira today, and there we have it there as a top gainer for today, 6.48%. NEM Insurance also caught the attention of investors. Jais Bank, I mean, with their story of rebranding a new logo, I think it's giving new hope to some investors. And so we also see there was cherry picking on Jais Bank at the close of trade. Of course, there'll always be the losers. They also are filling up that space. But I guess the most important thing today is that the market ended in the green and that we leave the bull on the floor of the market for the weekend.
That's it on business news. Back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Welcome back. A huge explosion at a military munitions plant in Tennessee in the U.S. has left several people dead and at least 19 people unaccounted for. Here's Sami Pusey with Around the World in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
The Israeli military says a ceasefire is now in effect after its forces pulled back to parts of Gaza.
troops have positioned themselves along the lines agreed under the Trump plan, the IDF says, but will continue to remove any immediate threat. It comes after the Israeli government approved a deal with Hamas, which will also see the release of hostages. Hamas now has 72 hours to release all Israeli hostages, while Israel will release hundreds of Palestinian detainees.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's the hostages will be coming back Monday or Tuesday. I'll probably be there. I hope to be there, and we're planning on leaving sometime Sunday. And I look forward to it. And everybody I see is celebrating in Israel, but they're celebrating in many other countries too.
While people across the world have welcomed the peace deal, there is still skepticism that it will hold, especially when it comes to deciding how Gaza should be rebuilt and who should rule over the Strip.
The carnage must end altogether. Israeli occupation forces must withdraw completely and totally. We immediately provide for our people, and we immediately link with the international community to make sure that the genocide does not repeat. So we go swiftly towards what President Trump talks about as the new peace in the Middle East. So we go to the root cause of all this, which is the occupation and establishing a state of Palestine.
Peru's Congress has voted to remove President Dina Boluarte from office, hours after a late-night session was called to debate her impeachment. An overwhelming majority of lawmakers from across the political spectrum approved her ousting on grounds of permanent moral incapacity. In an address on a national television following the vote, Boluarte questioned the implications it would have on the stability of Peru's democracy. One of the world's most unpopular leaders with an approval rating of 2 to 4%, Boluarte's tenure was plagued by frequent protests, scandals and investigations. Russian missile and drone strikes have caused power cuts in large parts of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. 9 people were injured, while residents in eastern districts were plunged into darkness and faced disruption to water supplies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for real steps from allies to apply pressure to Russia. Long queues have been snaking around petrol stations in Mali's capital, a month after militants from an al-Qaeda affiliate imposed a fuel blockade by attacking tankers on major highways. Some of the garages, forced to shut last week, paralyzing the city, have now reopened after more than 300 petrol tankers arrived under army escort from Ivory Coast. The military government has assured residents it is only a temporary issue, but there are fears new stock will quickly run out as others complain about price hikes.
How are you? Hello. So nice to see you.
The Prince of Wales has been visibly moved as he heard firsthand about the devastating impact of suicide, having to pause during a conversation with Rhiannon Mannings, whose husband took his own life.
And I think that's what the hardest thing is. We would have been okay. You okay?
Sorry, it's hard to ask you questions that
I
know.
Hard, and you've experienced loss yourself.
Rhiannon has since set up a bereavement charity, and Prince William's Royal Foundation is contributing £1 million to develop a national suicide prevention network. Prince William, on World Mental Health Day, said he wanted to build a bold, unified national response to the heartbreaking and preventable tragedy of suicide.
The Norwegian Nobel Committee
and the Venezuelan opposition leader and pro-democracy campaigner Maria Corina Machado has won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Maria Corina Machado.
The committee said she had resisted death threats in her fight against President Nicolas Maduro, widely considered a dictator who's cheated elections. There was speculation Donald Trump had an outside chance of winning, with the US president repeatedly claiming he stopped 7 wars. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Nigeria's Super Eagles edged Lesotho 2-1 in Game 9 of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier Group C clash in Polokwane, South Africa, earlier this evening. Skipper William Troost-Ekong got the opener 9 minutes into the second half from the penalty spot. Debutant Akko Adams netted the second with 10 minutes left in the second half. Lesotho pulled one back from a corner kick in the 83rd minute, where we stay third on the log with 14 points from 9 games. And the main news again. The federal government has pledged to reposition and professionalize the armed forces through enhanced capacity building, efficient procurement, and better interagency collaboration to help keep Nigeria safe. That's the news at 10. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. You have a good night and a great weekend.